So when we were getting really close to the end, you know that our machines had some issues, and when the machines went down, we lost some of our tally. We lost some of the ballot counts. And so what they've been trying to do is we've identified the precincts where we're missing ballot counts. And we run the operation in batches, which means there's several boxes per precinct, and we've identified certain precincts that appear that have dropped certain boxes of ballots. And so I need my expert team, and these are all of my employees, not the county, because they're certified in operating this particular kind of software. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to go back and look at the counts of each box, and depending on how many we're missing, we can identify which box didn't read. And then we can read those ballots and add it into our tally. But you know, the likelihood is pretty slim.
Can you explain why no one has done anything? I mean, we've been here since 3:45, and
Yeah.
we haven't seen a single machine run, no one at the tables. Everyone wants to know, where's everyone been?
Well, you know what? When you work about 45 hours in a row, you got to let the people sleep.
And
I need my, wait a minute. I need my expert team because this is a very technical process. I can't have just anybody running this. And so my IT manager we recounted the early votes overnight, and then he stayed all day yesterday until about 9 o'clock. I needed them to go home and get some sleep and eat something so that we would be fresh today and we would be on point to be able to do this very technical. You can see it runs very slow. We have to pick and choose and be very careful about how we're doing this. And we need to be precise. I can't have the county team doing it. These are my IT staff, and they're the only ones that have the expertise to do this. So you can't do this kind of work with no rest. You just can't.
Ms., will you meet the deadline today?
The likelihood is slim.
Even for the Senate
Slim,
race?
or there is no chance?
Well, we're working on it. We're going to give it our best shot. But the reality is that we were very close 2 nights ago, and then our machines went down. It was not for lack of human effort. The human effort was there. And we physically were so close to it when our machines went down, and then we ran our numbers in an abundance of caution, and it showed us that we dropped some of our numbers.
How much?
Well, right now we're trying to constitute precinct by precinct. And
So how many votes are you missing?
we have to upload our Saturday results, and the secretary will evaluate all of the state results and probably call a hand recount. So that deadline's
what
3 o'clock.
results will you update today, you think?
Well, if we get these, if we can reconstitute the tallies that we lost, then we will upload the recount results.
But that's for the Senate or for all 3
It's
races?
the Senate. Our
Just the
machines
Senate.
only run 1 race at a time. The state has been aware of that for 10 years. They have not extended the deadline. We can't outstack multiple races. What happens is you run all of the tally types through your machines and you glean the over and under ballots to do a hand recount. And so we've done that. And in the process, you know, we had machine problems, and so when the machines went down, they lost some of the counts that we had.
How much did you lose?
Well, it depends on what precinct, and so we have more than a dozen precincts that lost substantial numbers of ballots.
So
counts.
best case scenario, you will have a recount for the Senate, but not for the other races.
Well, the law requires us to keep recounting until we're completed, but the deadline is Sunday.
So if the county's known for years that your machines don't work.
After you started the recount of the recount fixing what had gone wrong 2 nights ago, are you saying there was another malfunction yesterday?
No,
Okay,
no.
I just wanted to clarify what you're saying.
No, it was when the machines went down. So after we got them fixed, we still have the technicians here. When we got it fixed, you know, this responsible thing to do is run the numbers and make sure that everything's okay. It's not okay. And so they're trying to make it back to where we were 2 nights ago.
Ms. Booker, you mentioned that your deadline is Sunday.
That's for
You're under
official
the
results.
Oh, for official results. But for the deadline for today.
After 4 p.m. today,
Well, what we have to do is we have to try and get there. And so we're doing everything possible with some very smart, expert people, and that's what we should be doing.
But do you plan to continue the count after 4 p.m. today? The machine count?
Well, once the deadline comes, we'll either upload the recount results or we'll upload the preliminary results that we uploaded on Saturday. That's the requirement. And then the Secretary of State would make a determination. The law says that if we're between 0.25%, we conduct a hand recount. And more than likely, that's probably what we're headed to.
And have you contacted voters who have voted?
Excuse me?
Would you just go straight to the hand recount and the machine recount would be done at that point?
Well, we'll have to conduct a hand recount, and as soon as we clear that, the law requires that you continue to operate recounts until you complete. So we'll be conducting the other recounts after that. But there are some deadlines for not only the 3 p.m. today, but a Sunday deadline, the final deadline for official results.
And has the office contacted voters whose ballots have mismatched signatures following the judge's order that they get 2 extra days?
Well, I think there's a lot of things flying this morning, and we're trying to figure out. I know there's a federal lawsuit that extended the deadline for people to cure their signatures, and so we had a lot of cures come in after the deadline. So we have them printed and we're ready to match them. But it's my understanding that there's been some intervention this morning, and I'm not real clear yet. My lawyers are in there working on it, but I'm not real clear yet if that extension is going to hold.
Do you think you're going to have to do those precincts all over again?
Well, we're going to have to do them for the future recounts all over again. But if this process is not working, then that's our intention.
Will a hand recount be easier for you and your team?
A recount will be easier?
A hand recount.
Oh, a hand recount. Well, you only recount the overs and unders, and that's a human function. It's not mechanical. But, you know, the machines seem to be working now, and we have technicians here, and they're staying. And we have a lot of parts and pieces that they can fix them with. So I think that we can overcome that. But when the machines went down, we lost some of our ballot count, and we're trying to reconstitute it right now. And we have until 3 o'clock, but I need these people to be very fresh. It's a very tedious, careful process, and we don't want to, we only have one shot at it. I can't let just anybody do it. I can't let somebody who hasn't had sleep in 2 days do it. I needed to have some time, and we have enough time by 3 o'clock if we can reconstitute, but I can't guarantee that we can do that.
So how
If
disappointing
it's
is
by
it?
3 p.m. and you have not finished, you will turn in the original count.
That's what the
results
law
to-
requires.
How disappointing is it to work so hard, be so close, and now you might
Well,
not
I'll
make it?
tell you, it was not for lack of trying. You all have been here. We have given everything we have. I have one of the best teams in the United States. You know, they're really good people. They've worked really hard, and I will tell you that it's very disappointing.
What do you tell voters whose votes may not be counted there? I mean, there are voters in Palm Beach County who voted and their vote may not make it to the 3 p.m.
We already counted their vote, ma'am. We have some results from Election Day. We counted their vote. This is a recount that has nothing to do with counting their original vote.
But some of them were missed. as you're
No,
saying.
they weren't missed. This is not the original count. We already did that. We uploaded our election results on last Saturday at noon.
So you're confident in your Saturday results?
Absolutely.
What have the technicians told you as to why the recount would come up short on the number of votes?
Because we run in batches, so if a precinct had 3 boxes and we counted the 3 boxes, when the machine went down, it dropped one of the boxes. There's a log that shows that it dropped some of the boxes. So they have the boxes that we believe it dropped, and they're going to try and put those boxes back together and add them into the tally. And if we can get that by 3 p.m., those are the results we're going to add in.
Who would you blame for not finishing the recount? You would be the only county in the state of Florida that doesn't submit a recount.
You know what? As a supervisor, I take full responsibility. That's my job. You know what? It was not for lack of human effort. You saw the human effort was almost, it was so incredible, and I thank everybody who participated. You know, the fact of the matter is that when mechanicals fail, there's not a lot I can do about it. We're doing everything we can to try and reconstitute, and that's all we can do. But there's a process that expects that if you do not make that deadline, then you submit the original results where we did count every vote. And then we make a determination, or the secretary does, to see if it's a hand recount. I think it is. And so we're going to prepare for that, and the results are going to stand. We counted every vote on Election Day.
What's your reaction?
I'm done.
What's your reaction to the President of the United States who's been
I don't
talking
have a
about?
reaction. I haven't seen it.
And can you tell us what was going on here? Because there was only one Republican attorney, and
What's going on here is
Please,
that they
yeah.
have made a public records request. They want to see all of our damaged ballots, and so we're showing them.
on the Republican side, not the Democrat side.
Yeah, I think so. Some
Susan,
lawyers.
one of the questions that I think we had was, the machines have been a source of problem. You've known that
I
they
already answered that.
Right.
I already answered that in the fact that I have money in my budget, but the machines that are certified that I would like to purchase don't meet the ADA compliance that is coming up in 2020. It's not responsible to spend $11 million on machines that I can't assure that I can use in the next real election, in the presidential. And so I need to work with the legislature, and it is a legislative priority. Most of the counties are using ES&S, and ES&S will not meet the standards by 2020. So we need to change that legislation, and then I can buy the equipment. I do anticipate buying the equipment as soon as we pass that legislation.
What's the process for recover the information?
You're done with the Senate recount, right? Once you
Which
finish-
one?
Oh,
What?
sorry. When you finish that process that they're doing right there, you're done with the Senate recount, right? There are no more additional.
No, we
ballots
have to
recount?
do a hand recount.
But I mean,
and it's
number
over and
three,
under.
recount, I'm sorry. Okay, that's the last.
But
Sorry.
then, so
What's the process to recover the information from the machine?
Well, you look at the batches and you know what the numbers are, and so then you count the boxes over again and you determine, oh, it's this one, because let's say there's 425 ballots missing, there's a box of 425. So you stick those results back into the results. So it's very tedious, it's very technical. I can't have just anybody. These three people have been with me collectively for over 50 years. They know what to do, they're very precise, and it's a very slow, you see them going really slow, that's on purpose. We want to make sure we have one shot to get this.
Is it all that one machine that's the issue? Can they not pull that one out of service and just use the rest of them?
No, we had a lot of issues with a lot of machines. But right now, everything's working fine. We're just trying to reconstitute our tallies that we lost when the machines went down.
If I could ask
Ms.
you,
Booker, how are you?
The nation's eyes are on Florida, and now they're super laser focused on Palm Beach County. How do you react to people who are looking at the state saying, they just can't get it right?
Well, I think we got it right. You know, I think that you humans got it right. The mechanics didn't get it right. Those machines are certified by the state of Florida, and they know what the issues are. We can only outstack one election at a time, and yet the deadline stood, even though I have been complaining about it for 10 years. So go ask them.